Welcome to part 2 of the Sunday Matinee's Marvel Cinematic Universe episode. We are in the endgame now. If you have not seen part 1 of this episode, I would recommend going back to watch that. It should be up on our YouTube channel. Part 2 jumps right in from where part 1 left off, so without further ado, let's get to it.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Marvel television here. I will be perfectly honest with everyone who is watching this. I am way behind on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I have not watched stuff like Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, and I saw the first 2 episodes of Inhumans when they showed them at the movie theater, and then was not really interested in watching the rest.
Have you watched Jessica Jones?
Huh?
Jessica Jones?
Jessica Jones is awesome.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of those episodes. That's it. I haven't seen any of the others.
So there's a bit of a problem with the Netflix, like all of Marvel television, basically, because of how it's spun out with Marvel Entertainment. I remember in 2013 when S.H.I.E.L.D. was, a big thing for them, and they said it's all connected. And for that first year, it really was. It was really cool to see. I think Nick Fury shows up in the show once, and Maria Hill shows up a handful of times. They tie it into the Winter Soldier with the whole Hydra, reveal. And that was really cool. And then the Netflix shows, I've seen all the Netflix shows, but they only tie them back in the movies like once or twice by mentioning the Battle of New York. They never really try to tie anything else in with like the Sokovia Accords. Like I always wondered, how is it that Daredevil and all these characters are running around New York and the government isn't out there trying to catch them and register them? It's just and which is a shame because Jessica Jones was great. Daredevil season 1 and 3 in particular are among the best stuff that Marvel has done in the MCU, and I'm including the movies. Like Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin is scary and super good. And in season 3, actually, by the time you get to season 3, it's like this guy is definitely modeled after a certain person who would like to think they're running a certain country. It's just a shame that they couldn't tie any of this stuff into the movies better. And it's a shame that they left doors open with Agent Carter. I don't know if they closed those doors at the end of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I know they wanted to get back to it.
Yeah, it feels like from Haley's standpoint, they're pretty close. She's pretty done. It felt like for quite a while she was on board for any campaigning effort to get it back up and running, but now she signed to like 3 movies of Mission Impossible, and I think she's moved on. So maybe occasional, and that's the thing I think with the you got a time stone here is that anything's possible for moments. We can have moments to bring people back, but
I'd like to think that the shows can exist as part of a different timeline in the multiverse. I think that kind of makes it work. But I do want to see, I want to see Kristen Ritter come back as Jessica Jones if they ever bring her into the movies or into any type of other show, and Charlie Cox as Daredevil for sure, because they're just wonderful.
It was rumored that Daredevil was going to be in the 3rd Spider-Man movie, but I don't know if it's going to be Charlie Cox as Daredevil. And I don't know how true that rumor is because we don't know anything about Spider-Man 3 yet.
I've also heard that rumor. I also heard a rumor shortly after Captain Marvel came out that Captain Marvel 2 would bring Jessica Jones and Daredevil back into the fold somehow. But again, rumors are rumors until they really start picking up traction on a news site that I trust. Then I, don't put much stock in them.
Yeah, it's all we got this covered.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Nope. Definitely not trusting them. So with these new shows coming to Disney Plus, my question here is, do you think that splitting all these stories across streaming platforms and cinema releases is going to hurt the brand now that they're actually going to try tying it all together much better?
For me, it's really biased because I'm embarrassed to say I have not seen a single Marvel TV show. I used to watch X-Men Evolutions, that cartoon that was on in like the 2000s, and that's the only one that I've seen. My mother watched Agent Carter. She really liked it, and I kind of want to see it too. So I think it's a matter of like, I know it's going to be on Disney Plus, so it's going to have all the same actors like Falcon and Winter Soldier and stuff like that. So I think it might hurt them because I think a lot of people are already like, well, I keep saying a lot of people, myself mostly, am too lazy to watch a new show unless I'm in the mood to watch a new show. So like, I mean, it took me, maybe 6 months after The Mandalorian came out to watch The Mandalorian. And by then the other movie had come out and I was like, oh, I hope it's not connected in any way. And some people don't have Disney Plus, and so they can't have that accessibility that they would have going to a movie, because anybody can go to a movie, but not everybody can have Disney Plus. I mean, times are changing. You know, pretend COVID doesn't exist. Everybody can go to a movie, but not everybody has Disney Plus. So I think that accessibility factor is going to be a problem. But I mean, it's different for everybody. So some people will religiously watch it and be like, oh, this was on Falcon and Winter Soldier. I remember this while watching, whatever movie is going to be next. And so it could be good. It could be bad. I think it's cool to like expand it like they're doing. Like it's cool to have Wanda and Vision. That looks really fun, but I don't know what it's going to have to do with the MCU. But I mean, I don't know. But I mean, that's just one person's opinion who has never seen a Marvel TV show, so I'm extremely biased, but it's just, I think the main problem is going to be the accessibility.
Yeah, I feel like they have way too many if they had like one or two, but keeping track of all that, like we don't already have 5 queues on 11 different things that we're trying to keep up on to begin with. Like, so I think it would be fantastic if they wrote them in such a way that you get Easter eggs that further enhance things from the movies. So if you do follow the shows, then you see the movie, you're like, oh my God, that was the episode, blah, 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 when they did the yada yada. So you can geek out further, but that the movies still stand alone, I think is really important.
Yeah, I don't want to have watched the TV show in order to understand what's going on in the movie.
Yeah, but if you do, you get like extra bonus. Kind of like if you've read the comics, you get extra things that I don't get when you see it, right? And then it's explained to me and I'm like, oh, that is awesome. But I still enjoyed it even without knowing that.
Well, I don't know how a lot of these are going to tie into the movies. The only one I know for sure right now is WandaVision is supposed to tie into Doctor Strange because Wanda is going to be in that movie. So I have a feeling it's something that Wanda does is going to start a chain reaction that she and Strange are going to have to fix together. But again, I don't know. I do know that it's supposed to tie in somehow. I don't know how the rest are going to tie. I do know that Loki, the Loki TV show, is going to be the Loki that escapes with the Space Stone.
I figured as much for that.
Yeah, okay.
So, probably not necessary to watch to get anything going forward, but I think it'll be a great treat for everyone who wants to know what happened to Loki, that Loki, after Endgame.
And I agree with Deya that having like little Easter eggs it's like a nice little reward for watching the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same with the movies, having little Easter eggs from the shows. Be like, oh yeah, that's some. Yeah, so I agree with you, Deya. That's a really good point. But
not like a major plot point where you watch the film and you're like, wait, what is going on?
Yeah, like, oh, I haven't seen this episode of whatever show yet. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm a sucker for everything, so I'll watch it, and if I feel like it's something that people need to see, I'll definitely let y'all know. I mean, I just want to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier because I love those two characters anyways, and they're bringing back Zemo, who was a really compelling villain in Civil War, so I think that'll be really interesting to see. But yeah, really don't know too much about the rest of it. But it's really exciting. They're going to give characters like She-Hulk and Miss Marvel their chance, and hopefully get them into the movies at some point. And Moon Knight. I'm really excited for Moon Knight. probably the closest thing we're going to get to Batman for Marvel. So that'll be fun. And yeah, I hope they make it somehow accessible or make it work. They haven't screwed up a lot so far, so we'll see. All right, we've circled around this topic a lot tonight. The Hulk and Spider-Man problem. Poor Hulk, poor Spider-Man. Less so Spider-Man at this point because the Sony Marvel deal has thankfully been saved for a little bit. So as we mentioned earlier, he's got one more solo film in the MCU and one more crossover film. What do you think the crossover film is going to be? Because I think they're going to save him for whatever the next Avengers movie is going to be.
I thought it was going to be multiverse, and they're going to use all the different Spider-Man actors.
That is an interesting idea, and we're going to talk about multiverse a little bit later because of what DC did this weekend. Those bastards. Deya, what do you think they should use Spider-Man for in a crossover film?
I have no idea. I'm very happy that we didn't have to watch yet again another what's it called? Origin story. Like, we don't already know how he just showed up. We get his deal. We know who Aunt May is. Don't treat us like idiots. We all understand. It's like explaining who Batman is. We get it.
Yeah.
So I was very pleased with how they introduced him and how they've used him so far.
Yeah. I was really happy with that too. I was like, like you said, we already know who he is. Why do you need to tell us who he is again? Versus he already exists. So
yeah.
So from what I know about the deal is Spider-Man will go back to Sony permanently after these two films. And they're already trying to build up their own sort of Spider-Man universe with Venom. And they were supposed to have Morbius released this summer with Jared Leto, so as a superhero vampire. And that trailer actually featured Michael Keaton in it and tied back to Homecoming, which makes me wonder, is this Sony Spider-Verse in the same universe as the MCU? And if it is, once they get Spider-Man back, how are they going to include him without mentioning like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers and all these characters that he's come to interact with? It's going to be really awkward. One of my theories is that, if Spider-Man is going to appear in another Avengers movie, maybe he vanishes into a wormhole and comes out on the other side into this Spider-Man universe, and that's how that's going to work. But I do know that when he's gone, he's going to be sorely missed, which is why I think we all know the answer to this question. Do you think Marvel should try to get Spider-Man back on a permanent basis? Are we all in agreement that that's a yes?
Oh yeah, invest in that for sure.
I mean, he's already doing meet and greets at Disneyland, so.
And it's really this has come up a lot due to video game problems with Spider-Man as well. But from a business standpoint, it's really great. It's really smart of Sony to try to make it feel like Spider-Man is a Sony character. They did this there's an Avengers video game coming out in about a month, and Sony was able to nab the exclusive rights to Spider-Man as a playable character on the PlayStation versions of the game. And everyone on the internet is like, well, that's because Sony owns Spider-Man. It's like, no, they don't. They own the movie rights. But they do. They really want to make it seem like they own Spider-Man, and it's smart to do that, for sure.
Well, do they own anything else? Is that their one thing they have in this?
It's the one. It's Spider-Man and any character that sort of spun out of Spider-Man or is affiliated with Spider-Man. So Venom, Carnage, Spider-Woman.
So it's their only comic book in a comic book industry situation.
It's the only Marvel one that they have. They might have stuff from independent comics or from stuff from Dark Horse. They did the original Hellboy before, but Hellboy was Dark Horse, and they moved over to Universal, and I can't remember who did the last Hellboy.
We don't want to remember the last Hellboy.
I didn't even see it, but I love the other ones.
So yeah, it's right now it's the only, it is really the only hot comic book property that Sony has, and maybe really the only hot property they have, because they also just lost James Bond. Universal is distributing No Time to Die after 10 years of Sony distributing all the Daniel Craig movies. So it all goes back to I don't know if you two remember when Sony got hacked like big time, and like the screenplay for Spectre was leaked, and a bunch of private emails from Sony executives were leaked, and that's one of the reasons why they made that deal with Marvel, is because that hack really hurt them, and because Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't that great. But yeah, they really needed a save after that hack. So teaming up with Marvel it really worked in both their favors, I think. But it's gonna suck when he goes back.
Well, that depends on what they do with him, though. If there's 5 years in between now and the next time they use him, Sony could screw with a lot of that stuff and lower his value as a character. Unless every time he's introduced into the MCU, we just assume that this is a new version from whatever Sony's doing. Like, it's non-canon, it's its own canon or something like that.
Well, Into the Spider-Verse was good.
Yes, it was. Into the Spider-Verse is really good, and that's actually a good argument for Sony holding on to Spider-Man, is because they were able to make a really, really good solo movie.
It wasn't Peter Parker. It was Miles Morales.
Yes.
And Peter Parker, but not Peter Parker.
Yeah, if any of you out there haven't seen Spider-Verse yet, yeah, it's Miles Morales. It's wonderful. And I do hope that Sony keeps that going, for sure, because they really hit the nail on the head with something really special on that one. A lot of people actually really felt like it was the best comic book movie of 2018, the same year that we got Black Panther and Infinity War. So that says a lot about how good it was.
That's the one with all the different art versions, right? Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that. I wanted to see that.
I think it's still on Netflix.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. If it's not on Netflix, Deya, or if for whatever reason you can't stream it, I will drop it off at your doorstep, ring the doorbell, and run away so I don't and back off, because yeah. So fingers crossed that Spider-Man's fate is not terrible. The Hulk's fate is somehow worse. I don't understand how this is a thing. So the problem with Hulk is that Universal Studios, I don't know how this really works, but they have like right of refusal for distribution for any solo Hulk films. How Hulk is still stuck over there at Universal, I don't know. But that is one of the reasons why they have not been able to do more solo Hulk films since the Ed Norton film. But they can get away with throwing him in any other Marvel movie that they want to. Which sucks, because Mark Ruffalo wanted to do a solo film. I've wanted to see more solo films since Mark Ruffalo stepped into the role and made it his own. I think we can all agree here. Do you want to see a solo Hulk film with Mark Ruffalo?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I thought he was better than Edward Norton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they need to bring back Dr. Samuel Stearns. He's last seen laying on, and Betty, Betty was last seen, like, what was she at, like the Statue of Liberty, and she opening the letter from Bruce.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and Dr. Samuel Stearns was laying on his laboratory floor, and his head was starting to bulge with his ginormous brain. And
that was it.
Yeah. And props to Marvel for giving Hulk a great character arc, like right alongside Thor in Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame. But it's time for him to break from the crew for a minute and do his own thing, because if Black Widow's getting a movie, and Black Widow is Black Widow was not even introduced as her own solo movie, and it took them this long to do a Black Widow movie. And Hawkeye's getting his own TV show. So where's Hulk? Where's the love for the big green guy? Maybe he'll show up in She-Hulk. I don't know.
Well, and if he can't do his own solo, can he do something with like two members of the avenging team and call that good? So we can kind of cat movie it where it's not solo, but it's really about him.
I don't know how. Yeah, they could definitely try and pull a trick like they did in Ragnarok. But I mean, Ragnarok was Thor's movie.
But
I don't know
that with Hulk, not Hulk Ragnarok, but
kind
of giving him
They'd have to. They definitely can't have the name Hulk in the title. That's the problem.
Bruce Banner.
I don't think they can do that either.
The big green guy.
No.
Jolly Green Giant.
There we go.
What does Tony Stark call him? Jolly Green?
Strongest Avenger. There we go.
Point Break. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. So I think, we all agree. We want more Spider-Man and we want more Hulk, and we want them to not be tied to other studios. Here's where things get crazy in the addition that I gave because of yesterday. So with everything that DC announced yesterday, it's obvious that they're going the route of the multiverse. And we already know that Marvel's going the route of the multiverse with Doctor Strange. So what do you want to see in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? And what do you want to see as far as the multiverse goes from here on out?
I mean, I already said all the Spider-Man actors coming together. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, and even throw in whoever did it Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know the actor's name, I'm sorry. But I think that'd be interesting because there's been a lot of them.
Deya, any thoughts on the multiverse?
Gosh, I just want to go back and do a period movie, not 80s period, but like back to the 40s and throw them back in Steve World. I think it would be really interesting to handcuff Tony with the amount of tech, handcuff Hulk with the amount of medicine. Like let's take away all of the things that we have progressed in the past 70 years and see how they deal with the simpler times.
It would also be interesting to see if they did the Iron Man movies, but it was Justin Hammer tech instead of Stark tech.
Ooh.
Huh.
Everything goes back really fast.
Well, they might do that, something like that, in the What If animated series that they're working on for Disney Plus. I don't know what they're going to go with in that one, but I do know that a lot of people have been theorizing that we're going to see like Tobey Maguire show up because Sam Raimi's directing the Multiverse of Madness. I think that'd be fun. I think that's going to be a problem with Sony, though. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I really don't know what I want out of the multiverse is the thing. Do we see new versions of all the characters that we've come to love? Do we want to just introduce completely new weird stuff? Are we just going to get all bunch of new characters out of it? Is that how we're getting the X-Men or the Fantastic Four? Are they going to pop through another universe? It'd be a very easy way to finally get them in there, rather than just assuming that they've been there all along and this universe is more bloated with superheroes than it already was.
It'd also be interesting to see what would have happened if the time heist never happened, like just Thanos' world after Infinity War with no endgame, or alternatively to find out what the alternate timelines were had it worked like Back to the Future and they messed up their present. Like by knocking out Peter Quill, what happens to the Guardians of the Galaxy sort of thing.
I should have brought that up in all the unresolved stuff because I've thought about that way too much. Like, in that universe where Peter Quill gets knocked out, it's like, who gets the stone?
Yeah.
Like Guardians of the Galaxy never happens. And in that universe, Thanos doesn't even exist because that's the Thanos who comes to our universe.
Yeah, and then Doctor Strange is never going to happen. I'm sorry, but because the Ancient One has the Time Stone and she gives that away, so then there's no point in Doctor Strange becoming all powerful.
Like, yeah, it sets up all kinds of weird problems with that.
But I think it'd be super interesting to see.
I actually want them to make one more Captain America movie, and it's literally just an entire movie of Steve returning all of the stones.
Yeah.
just that adventure.
We just watched the journey.
And then it just ends with him and Peggy. Like, we get to see.
And Peggy.
So yeah, be ready, everybody. The multiverse is coming. It's
Everywhere.
coming from DC. It's coming from Marvel. It's about to get. If you thought Doctor Strange was weird, if you thought Guardians was weird, it's about to get really messed up. It's going to get.
And we're
crazy.
saying that during COVID, so hey.
It's about to get messed up, but somehow happier in the movies than it is in real life.
It's a better place in the movies.
Yep.
Yes.
I want to talk about casting and directing the MCU. Was there ever a time where, and I've already mentioned a couple, did you ever question a choice for an actor or a director?
Honestly, not really. When the movies first came out, I didn't know who half the actors were because I was still in high school when the first one came out. But,
oh my gosh.
I know, I just aged everybody. But honestly, I think pretty much every character is cast perfectly in the MCU. I mean, there's flaws here and there, but I said almost. But like, I don't know. I do have one actually, Ben. I'm sorry, but Benedict Cumberbatch did not strike me as a Doctor Strange because I was like, oh, he's so British, it's gonna throw everything off. But he looked exactly like the comic book character did from what I've seen on Google. And I mean, he killed it. And I thought it was, I was like, wow, he's really great. And that was one. I agree with you about Mark Ruffalo too. I wasn't sure about that because the only thing I had seen Mark Ruffalo in at that time was 13 going on 30. And so I was like, really? Are you sure about that? And it turned out he was great. Oh, and my other one I do remember was Paul Rudd because I didn't know how Ant-Man was as a character. Because I was taking it from all the other MCU movies where they were kind of serious toned and like a guy getting superpowers and saving the world. And I could not picture Paul Rudd doing that because he's so funny. But of course, after seeing Ant-Man, it's now one of my favorite Marvel movies. And I love Paul Rudd. So please excuse me there. I need to let my dog out, but I'm listening.
Okay.
I was a little bit freaked out when Whedon was going to walk out because I was always a really big fan of Whedon. So, and I was not familiar with the Russo's work, and that's a lot to be handed over. But Winter Soldier was awesome. Captain America Civil War, awesome. And so by Avengers Infinity, I was like, obviously they can do it. I don't know how they didn't die. I mean, that's an incredible lineup of stuff. Tag teaming for them, that's like pretty epic on the workload there.
I was very curious about the Russo brothers when they announced them for Winter Soldier because I do know their background, and they were showrunners for Arrested Development and then Community, and it was like
really good shows though.
Yes. well, the first 3 seasons of Arrested Development are really good.
Tonally very different, however.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely different. Especially from the Winter Soldier, which, you know, it's a fun movie, but it's definitely one of the most serious films in out of all of them. So for the Russo brothers to come in and with their comedy background and really, really nail it is great. And for fans of the Russo brothers, it's kind of off topic, but it's been fun to see where they plug in Community and Arrested Development Easter eggs into their movies. Because they have done it in all 4 of their Marvel movies.
I've seen the Bluth staircase car in Civil War, and now that you say that, so.
Yep, there's the Bluth staircase. Jim Rash is in Civil War. He's on Community. Both Ken Jeong and Yvette Nicole Brown were in Endgame from Community. There's the blue Tobias Funke is in Infinity War among the collector's stuff.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
So yeah, if you Google Tobias Funke in Infinity War, you can definitely get a screen cap of like him standing behind probably Star-Lord. I also questioned Paul Rudd for sure. I was like, really? Huh, he's super funny, and I don't know. Again, Mark Ruffalo. Yep. Back in 2008, I thought, oh, it's Ed Norton, and I thought he was fine. It was definitely better than
Eric Bana.
Eric Bana, thank you. No offense to Eric Bana, he's actually a pretty good actor, but that Hulk movie is bad. Who else? I questioned Benedict Cumberbatch only because, in the years before, I literally posted on Facebook that I was going to petition Marvel to put me in the movie. So I was very sad when they didn't.
So you just have a personal vendetta against that.
I do, but I still like him in the movies. They did cast a Ben in the movies, so good on them.
They did.
2. Benedict
That's
Wong.
right. That's right. For directors, I actually questioned Scott Derrickson for Doctor Strange, because at first I didn't know who he was, and then I looked him up and it's like, oh, he's done some horror movies, most of which have not so great Rotten Tomatoes scores. But now I follow him on Twitter, and he's an amazing person. And he dropped out. I'm sad that he dropped out of Multiverse, but he is directing a sequel to Labyrinth, so that'll be interesting. God, who else did I question? What movies are there? Oh, when Edgar Wright, I'm looking at them right over there. When Edgar Wright left Ant-Man and they replaced him with Peyton Reed, I was like, oh, the director of Bring It On. Huh. This is
at least they did indeed bring it on in that movie.
They did. But I was happy. I thought Ant-Man was actually a really great film.
There was still the Edgar Wright touch on it too. So
absolutely. I'm glad that Edgar Wright still got a credit for screenwriting.
Yeah.
It's always a good sign when, like, it's always a good sign to me in these Marvel movies when you have someone drop out, but they're still willing to have their name attached to it. It means the falling out wasn't terrible, unlike Patty Jenkins, which it clearly was not good. But yeah, I definitely questioned Peyton Reed, but I was after I saw the first movie, I was happier, and I was very enthusiastic when they actually found interviews with him where he actually reads Ant-Man. I was like, oh, cool. So you actually do your research. That's great. So there's really not too many other weird calls for me. Like I definitely thought that Joss Whedon was the right call for the first 2 Avengers movies. Like that was a shoo-in.
I was expecting vampires though, and I was a little upset.
And I've gotten to the point where I just no longer question their casting and directing choices because they typically are really good. I think Paul Rudd was the last casting choice I questioned, and Scott Derrickson was the last directing choice. I just don't anymore. Ever since Marvel Studios moved under Disney and out of Marvel Entertainment and Ike Perlmutter, like Feige just makes these great choices with these films, and they just let them run their own show, and it's really great. So good on them. Keep doing some great directors. Get more female directors in there. I know they got Nia DaCosta signed on to do, I think, Captain Marvel 2, and she is just coming off of the new Candyman movie. So that should be interesting.
That's
another horror director, though. We remember how the first one turned out.
Yeah. So we are to the last part on the scripted section of this. What do you want to see in the MCU moving forward, just in general? Who do you want? What heroes do you want to see? What villains? Yeah, let's start with that. What heroes and villains do you want to see coming into these movies?
I mean, you already know mine, Sinister Six in the next Spider-Man movie. They already have, I think, 3 of them, so they just need the other 3. I think it's rumored that Kraven the Hunter is going to be in it, which is 4. So they just need the other 2. But I don't know how much of that is going to be Sony also, but I would love to have the Sinister Six in the 3rd Spider-Man because they've been setting it up since Homecoming. So
Yep.
That'd be really cool to see, especially if it's the last one Tom Holland does, and it'd just be like a nice little send-off.
Yeah, and I know that Sony had wanted to do a Sinister Six movie with Andrew Garfield before they shifted gears. So I really hope that this is the chance to bring in, and for the first time too, like a team of villains for someone to fight.
Yeah,
as opposed
they
to
always
just
have
one.
a team of heroes. That's in every single movie. They never had a team of villains.
Deya, who do you want to see?
I don't know the comics to know who to bring forward and not bring forward. I don't know what all the different
Well, like,
story.
I don't either. I'm just on the internet a lot because I have no social life. That's the only reason I know who the Sinister Six are.
Well, Deya, I can tell you that we will be seeing the Fantastic Four and the X-Men at some point.
Do we know the casts of those yet? Are they going to?
Oh no.
Oh, we have no idea.
We have no clue. Actually, I think it'd be a really cool Easter egg in the multiverse if they bring in like Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart.
I mean, I feel like they have to bring in Hugh Jackman for obvious reasons. Like,
yeah. It is rumored that Taron Egerton is going to be the new Wolverine, but I don't know how true that is. Everything's a rumor.
Oh, he's an interesting choice. I like him in Kingsman.
Yeah. I liked him as Elton John, so I guess he can play Elton John and Hugh Jackman now. So
who's been doing it longer, Hugh or Robert? On
Hugh.
Playing. Yeah, he's been. That's a long time to keep getting ripped and then do a movie and then go away and get ripped again and do a movie.
I think he's just always ripped.
Actually, let me think about this one. In terms of like sheer number of movies, I think Robert Downey might be ahead of him. But
yeah, but
like,
he's got more in that
Hugh,
amount of time.
But Hugh's definitely been playing the role many more years.
So long, yeah.
Oh, I thought of another one. I don't know if he's officially in the MCU yet, but definitely Deadpool.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Yes. Only if they leave him alone. They just have to let Ryan Reynolds do it. Just let him do it.
Ryan Reynolds has supposedly been talking with the folks at Marvel already. It hasn't been confirmed or anything, but Deadpool 3 is heavily rumored to be something they're working on. I don't like. They may have to multiverse it and not consider it like completely canon with it, just because I do know they also want it. I know Reynolds wants them to stick with the R-rated stuff, so it'd probably be hard for them to bring in other heroes without attracting all the children. Of course, it doesn't really matter. When I saw Deadpool 1 in the theaters, there were tons of young children who shouldn't have been there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Deadpool's one. I know people are excited about the Fantastic Four coming to the MCU. I'm okay with that. That's fine. That's great. I want Doctor Doom more than I want the Fantastic Four.
They need to do him right this time too.
Yep. They've screwed him up twice, and Doctor Doom is like one of the handful of villains that can be the next Thanos. Like he's the he's admittedly he's a
strong
template.
As hell.
He's strong. He's the template for Darth Vader. So, bring him in there. Like we already have magic in the MCU. Doctor Doom is supposed to be like the juncture of high tech and magic. So one of the most powerful earthbound characters in the comic books right there. And just about everyone in the comic books has fought him. He's not just a Fantastic Four villain. So, bring on Doom.
Bring on Doom.
Yeah.
Bring on Doom.
Hashtag bring on Doom.
Who would you cast?
Who would I cast as Doom?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Well,
Who's the biggest little big bad?
honestly, back in 2005, I think the Julian McMahon was actually not a bad choice, but the movie was just bad.
I do think the 2005 one was actually better than the 2011 one.
Yes, the 2011, or was it 20?
Whatever year it was, the newest one.
2015. It was 2015.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that one was better than this one, and that one was still really bad.
The 2015 one was. I know there's a lot of behind the scenes drama with studio interference in that one, but it's so bad.
Yeah.
Who would I cast as Doctor Doom? I don't know. Who would you cast as Doctor Doom?
No.
Not to toot my own horn, but maybe me.
Not to toot your own horn, though.
Gosh, I don't know. Who's got that? So it's got to be someone who's got a really powerful voice. Like
Gilbert Gottfried. It's time to go.
Affleck. I don't know. I don't know who I cast as Doctor Doom. But I just know I want to see Doctor Doom, and I want to see Doctor Doom right. As for the heroes, they're bringing in X-Men and Fan 4 at some point, so I'm good.
Is Doom more like a person, or is he more like a Thanos-esque where he's going to be computerized?
Doom, they might do CGI because Doom spends most of his time in this incredible armor. Like I was not joking when I said he's the inspiration for Darth Vader. Like he has a Darth Vader like ventilator mask because
I'm saying get James Earl Jones. He's got the voice. We already know.
Because like he was horribly disfigured in an accident and blames Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four. So that's why they are nemesis. So it's going to be someone who's going to have to deal with horrific burn makeup if you want to see their face, but have an incredible voice. So yeah, I don't
Get
know.
on that, Hollywood. What?
What was that?
I just said get on that, Hollywood. Get on that, Hollywood. Go to work.
I was just thinking of burn makeup, and all I could think about was Jackie Earle Haley because of Nightmare on Elm Street remake that he was in.
Oh, I didn't see that. I've heard it's. Yeah.
Yeah, you heard right.
So moving on. So who do you think should lead the Avengers for the foreseeable future? Who are going to be the big three? And maybe more than three this time, but like the big three always to me felt like Iron Man, Thor, and Cap.
Yeah.
Especially in Endgame, when it was the three of them against Thanos, it felt like these are the three big leaders. On the front line. So who are the next big three leaders?
I know who I want it to be, and I mean, that I'm going to say Captain Marvel because she's one of the strongest. And I also
feel
think
like that's what it's set up for too. I think.
T'Challa, I think, because he's already a king, so he's got that leadership quality. I don't know. I don't think he's going to do it, but that's who I would want to see do it. And it would be great. I mean, forgive me for saying this, but it would be great for a social norm because of his race. I think now would be a great time for that to happen. And Captain Marvel, because she's a woman and awesome, and I love her. And I don't know if this counts because the movie hasn't come out yet, but Lady Thor.
Oh.
Because it's going to be Natalie Portman, and also, I think it'd be interesting. And if the Guardians of the Galaxy collectively count as one, then the Guardians of the Galaxy, but otherwise just Rocket.
Rocket's a good choice. Oh, Deya, who would your big three? Who would you pick to lead?
I don't have all the three, but I think Captain Marvel is definitely set up on that. I like T'Challa as a choice for sure. And that also plugs in and fixes the loss of skill sets that we need. So Captain Marvel takes care of kind of the Captain America-esque things, and then Doctor Strange-esque things, and then the Black Panther world. I can't remember it, but it's all
Wakanda?
high tech. Yes, thank you. All high tech and medicine and everything, which is what we lose with the loss of Tony and Hulk if he doesn't come back in. So I'm also trying to think of skill sets. And then I guess Doctor Strange. I don't know.
Deya, you and I are totally in sync tonight because I pick Captain Marvel because she's already proven herself as a leader, and she is definitely like one of the most powerful characters out there, along with I think one of the most underutilized powerful characters, also Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
She almost beat Thanos.
Yeah.
She would have beat Thanos.
But Captain Marvel, I think, definitely has the leadership skills and the power. And again, yeah, T'Challa has the bankroll and the tech, and he is a very good hand-to-hand fighter. And he's a king. He's already proven that he's a leader.
And he has a lot of reinforcements too. He has a whole bunch of armies.
Yeah.
And he has the humility of Cap.
Yeah.
That, which I like in a leader.
And then I would also pick Doctor Strange because of his brains, because he's one of the smartest characters out there right now. I know you've got the high tech stuff with Wakanda, but I've always thought it'd be a really cool team up to have. I'm really blanking on the names. T'Challa's sister, Shuri, a Shuri Doctor Strange team up. Have the smartest tech person in the world team up with the most powerful sorcerer, and just have like that little like tech magic combo going.
Yeah. You have the scientific element and you have the magic element, so you can combine magic with science, and you'll have an all-powerful being.
Yep. So we have Doctor Doom, basically the good version. I really of the characters that are out there now, they could introduce new characters that might fill in that role. Reed Richards, the Fantastic Four, might end up filling that role because he's also super duper smart. Maybe Namor, the Submariner, if they introduce him in a future film, although he kind of straddles the line between hero and villain. But he's another character that would be interesting to see everyone fight because he's super, super strong. But yeah, those are my three. The Guardians are an interesting choice. I just don't know how much longer that iteration, like James Gunn has said that Volume 3 is going to be the last time that we see that iteration of the Guardians.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how far in the future you were talking about. So since I figured that would be okay to say, but I mean, there's no rules, I don't think. But
yeah, there are no rules here. So the Guardians are supposed to show up in Thor: Love and Thunder, which makes a lot of sense given what happens at Endgame.
I love their relationship. It's so funny to me.
It's wonderful. I think that's going to be great. I'm a little disappointed, though, because of what I was really hoping was that Guardians 3 would be called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 featuring Thor.
I wanted them to call it As Guardians of the Galaxy.
There is actually a comic book. There is a comic book called As Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's good.
So, but James Gunn has confirmed that is not going to be the title.
It would have been so good, though.
It would be. I just don't know if Thor is going to end up being in that movie. I don't know how long he's going to be sticking around with them, which is a shame because actually, if he does pass on the hammer to Jane Foster, I think it'd be really great if he just goes off and does his own thing with the Guardians and sticks around for a while. Don't kill Thor.
Don't kill Thor.
We've already killed Tony. Don't kill Thor.
We've killed Loki too. Don't do it.
Yeah, we've killed prime timeline Loki.
Yeah.
And Heimdall. Oh, sad times. So the last sort of official question here is, what do you think Nick Fury is up to at the end of Spider-Man: Far From Home?
I just think
Out
he's
there.
on vacation. I think he needs a break from children and Tony Stark, who is also a child technically, well, mentally.
Well, I mean, there's some theories that he's out there with the Skrulls building what will become Sword, which is sort of like the space equivalent of Shield. It's
See,
the Shield.
I wouldn't know that because I didn't read the comic books.
I don't know that much about Sword either. It's supposed to be a shield that protects us from galactic threats. So that's a theory. It could just be he's on vacation and that the Skrulls are building it while he's there.
Can I ask a question relevant to that question?
Yes.
When do you think Nick Fury stopped being Nick Fury and started being Talos?
Oh gosh.
Because it is implied in Age of Ultron, because he says he can't eat his sandwiches if they're cut diagonally, but in Age of Ultron, Nick Fury eats a diagonally cut sandwich.
I would say it's at least, at the very least, it's at the end of Endgame. I think that's Talos at Tony's funeral.
Okay, but you don't think he was before that? You just think he's in Endgame? I'm not quizzing. I'm just inquiring.
I don't think it's him. I don't think it's Talos at the end of Infinity War, because we know that Captain Marvel gives Nick Fury the beeper.
Or so Nick Fury just told Talos that.
Well, I don't know. It could be. Well, gosh, what? Infinity War, the end of Infinity War is the first time we see Nick Fury since Age of Ultron, right? He doesn't appear in any of the movies in between, right?
I think so. I don't think he's in Civil War.
No, he's not in Civil War. That would be the most logical one for him to show up in.
Yeah.
So it's either sometime in that in-between time, or yeah, it's definitely before the funeral. So that's a question. I don't know when we're going to get that one answered.
But it's
Probably
not
not
when we see him. It's not when we see him die. When everybody's watching them work, and then he dies on the table. It's not then.
Oh, that would be a crazy bait and switch for him to have switched all the way back during Winter Soldier. Wow, that would mean that Talos would have to be able to duplicate his eye and gain access to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wouldn't he though? He has the same DNA.
That would be, yeah, it is technically. God, dang it. This is going to be a looming question for years now.
So with that, I leave. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Well, that's something to think about.
Yep. Yeah. What does anyone have anything else they want to see in the future for the MCU? Because I also want to see Ghost Rider. I want to see Ghost Rider really bad. He
you want
shows
it to
up
be
in
Nick Cage
S.H.I.E.L.D.
again?
No.
I had no idea half of these were part of the MCU. That's mind-blowing to me. Wow.
Nick Cage, I don't think the idea of Nick Cage as Ghost Rider is terrible, but the idea of Nick Cage, when he did it in 2007 or now, is terrible because he's just too old. Johnny Blaze should be a young guy. I liked what they did on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Robbie Reyes, Ghost Rider, having a young Ghost Rider in there. And they actually, that was a really cool tie-in on S.H.I.E.L.D. In one episode, Ghost Rider shows up and he's able to use the magic teleportation trick that the Sorceress uses, except he doesn't have a sling ring. He just uses his chains. It's like, wow, that's a nice tie-in. Too bad that he's never coming back. But yeah, I want to see Ghost Rider. I love the dark characters. I want to see Daredevil come back. I want to see all those Netflix characters come back. And if they do Iron Fist, for the love of God, recast him and actually write a good character. If you're ever interested in watching the Netflix Marvel shows, don't watch Iron Fist.
Who's in that one?
It's I can't remember his name, but he played Sir Loras in Game of Thrones.
Ah, okay. I don't know his name either, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but he's like, and nothing against him, but the character is just very poorly written, and it should honestly go to an Asian actor. It's heavy into martial arts, so if they're going to do it again, I know the character was originally written as white, but there's no reason.
So was Nick Fury. So is Nick Fury.
That's true. But the problem with Iron Fist, and it's actually a problem with Doctor Strange too, is it's a white man going into Asia and like sort of taking their culture on and their combat on and making it theirs. And it's like it's even worse in Iron Fist than it is in Doctor Strange. It's bad, and it's just bad writing.
Well, it's kind of only the Tilda Swinton character, the Great One, I can't remember, that I remember hearing kerfuffles about.
Yeah, the ancient one. I don't know. Yeah. How is it in the comics? Is it an Asian man or is it a white woman? Okay.
Yeah, I know they changed it in the movies because of the problem that in the comic books he goes to Tibet. I think it's Tibet in the movie as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Kamatage is in Tibet, and of course, there's China and Tibet have been feuding for years, and they wanted to, of course, make this movie marketable in China. So instead of having the ancient one be a Tibetan man, they went with a white woman. And nothing against Tilda Swinton. I think she rocks the role.
Yeah.
She does rock it, but there is appropriateness in it. And
yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward into the future of the MCU, I just want to give a shout out to the movies that are coming. These are the release dates. They are definitely pending, given everything that's going on right now. So we've got Black Widow coming out November 6th. The Eternals coming out on February 12th, 2021. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings coming out May 7th, and that's going to be the one where we finally meet the real Mandarin. Untitled Spider-Man 3 film coming out December 17th, 2021. Thor, Love and Thunder coming out February 11th, 2022 on my birthday.
You better see
it. Me. So yeah, we better be able to see this on my birthday. And Deya, I think you were talking about opening these movies up closer together if they need to start doing that to keep the schedule.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange is currently set to release less than 60 days later.
Well,
almost, March 25th. So just over a month after Thor, we're getting Doctor Strange. And those are all the movies that are confirmed with confirmed release dates. We also still have Black Panther 2 has been announced, Ant-Man 3, Guardians 3, Captain Marvel 2 have all been announced. They all have directors attached to them. We know Fantastic Four and X-Men are coming at some point. On the television side, Falcon and Winter Soldier is supposed to drop late 2020. I know that they've had some troubles with production due to the coronavirus. WandaVision is set for December of this year. That is supposed to drop right now. They are currently on schedule. Loki is set for early 2021. What If, the animated series, which explores alternate realities with a bunch of characters, almost all of them, in fact, they're getting Robert Downey Jr. to come back to voice Iron Man. So that's going to drop mid-2021. And I think that's the one that's most likely to keep its placeholder date because it's animation and they're probably more likely to be able to keep going with distancing in effect.
Yeah.
And then we've got Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, and She-Hulk all set for 2022. No specific quarters set. That's what we've got to look forward to. What do you look forward to most out of those movies or shows?
I mean, you already know mine, but I will say it again for continuity. The untitled Spider-Man sequel and the Eternals are the ones I'm most excited for because the Eternals has just a stellar cast. It's phenomenal. Every single person is cast correctly from what I know of Eternals, which is hardly nothing, but I know enough to know that I'm very excited about this casting. And of course, the untitled Spider-Man sequel, because I'm just hoping that it's going to be the first Spider-Man threequel in the MCU. So that's very exciting.
And Deya, what of these are you looking forward to?
I'm
the
super
most?
into Black Widow right now, which is awesome because when she was first introduced, I could care less. So I'm really stoked about that now. Thor, he's a goober and I love him. I can't wait. And Galaxy 3, I'm very pleased that he's back at the helm and he'll be able to finish his trilogy.
Yeah, assuming that actually no, assuming that John Watts doesn't come back to make Spider-Man 3, he has not been confirmed to return for Spider-Man 3 yet. He probably will. But as of this moment, James Gunn is currently set to be the first director to actually direct an entire trilogy of Marvel films. Well, in the MCU, Sam Raimi had his shot with the first Spider-Man trilogy. I have a feeling, though, it's going to be John Watts. I have a feeling they'll bring him back for Spider-Man 3. He did such a good job with Homecoming and Far From Home. But they should be the first two. And Peyton Reed's probably going to come back to direct Ant-Man 3, which is great. I think he did a great job with the first two as well. Here's a fun question for you. Who would have thought Thor Love and Thunder was announced last year at Comic-Con? Who would have thought before that announcement that Thor would be the first one to get 4 films?
Yeah, I thought for sure out of anyone it would have been Iron Man or Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that Iron Man, I think as a franchise, Iron Man has the possibility of getting 4 films. They might make a new one with Rhodey in the lead, or with the character Ironheart taking on the mantle. But yeah, I really didn't think it was going to be Thor. It just goes to show how much this whole world collectively loves Ragnarok. And that.
I mean, if you're going to look at it that way, there's only 3 Thor movies, because there's no second Thor movie. It's just Thor and then Thor Ragnarok and then this one.
That's fair enough.
But I get the point though.
And it could also, Cap could also get a 4th movie where we finally get to see Falcon take on the actual title. Now that he has the shield, that's one of my favorite moments from Endgame, is where Steve gives him the shield. Like, that is just a beautiful moment, and absolutely the send off for Steve that we needed, and the passing of the torch. It'd be cool if Falcon was one of those 3 leaders. I just don't think it's going to happen yet, unless he gets his own movie first. All right, so we have talked a lot. So it's time to start wrapping this up with some trivia. So how this works is, I explained how it worked to you, Andrea. So right now, Deya, you are not on the board yet.
I'm not even on the board.
You're not on the board yet. This is your second appearance. You have a chance. Sarah answered her question correctly last week, so she is currently at 2. My cousin Marit got on the board last week with 1. So you two now have a shot.
How do we ring in? Do we just the first one to talk, or what?
No, it's not who guesses it right first. It's just who guesses it correctly.
Gotcha.
Period.
Okay.
If you know the answer for sure, like you absolutely know the answer, I would ask you to hold it for, just in case the other person doesn't know and it has to take a guess. So since we are talking Marvel, I didn't get any submissions from anybody for trivia. Shame on all of you all of you viewers out there. So I had to come up with one myself. So 10 years ago, Scarlett Johansson brought Black Widow to life in Iron Man 2. She was not the original actor cast in the role. In fact, she replaced someone else who had to leave due to a conflict of shooting schedules. Was that actor Keira Knightley, Emily Blunt, Rachel McAdams, or Anne Hathaway?
Names one more time.
Absolutely. Keira Knightley, Emily Blunt, Rachel McAdams, and Anne Hathaway.
Who is this for? Who's answering it?
Do either of you know the answer at the top of your head?
No.
I have a guess, but not the answer.
All right, whoever wants to go first, whoever feels comfortable.
I can guess? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna guess with my gut and say Emily Blunt.
I'm gonna say McAdams.
All right. Andrea, you are on the board. It was Emily Blunt.
Holy crap, that would
I
have
was
been
thinking
awesome.
of the red hair. I was just thinking red hair.
That would have been awesome. I mean, I'm very pleased with what Scarlett's done, but holy crap. Oh. Wow.
Yep, Rachel McAdams, of course, ended up in Doctor Strange. Anne Hathaway was looked at for The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for Black Cat, who is a very similar character to Catwoman, who she did play in The Dark Knight Rises. And Keira Knightley was just to throw you all off the scent. So congratulations, Andrea. You are on the board with 1. Deya, I know you'll be back on the show. And maybe I'll throw in some classic movie trivia for you because I know that I know you know way more about that than I do. So that about wraps everything up. Thank you to everyone who is watching. If you would like to submit some movie trivia for a future episode, you will get called out for sure, like Dan and Frank did in the last 2 episodes. You email that to fisheyelenseesall@gmail.com. And please check us out on Facebook, on Twitter, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I started realizing I should start promoting this stuff so that people will know it exists.
What?
So I know, right? I'm only 3 episodes in, so I got to start building a real audience type thing. So Andrea, Deya, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening or watching. I say listening when I still don't have an audio version of this thing available for anyone. I'm going to get on that, I swear. On that note, good night, all.